Hello guys, today I'm gonna work at my BMW E46 2003 and I'm gonna replace the rear dust protection for the disc brake, the wheel bearing and the handbrake shoes because this was broken, and for that the handbrake shoes weren't staying at their place. So there was a nasty noise coming from the rear of the car, and it was the handbrake shoes for both sides. And because we need to change this, I need to also open the rear wheel bearing and to change it. Okay, so before jacking up the car, I'm gonna open the nut that holds the axle in its place. And for that, as you can see, it has it is tapped, so I'm gonna untap it and flat it back using a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. And after that I'm gonna open it before jacking up the car because I don't like to put too much effort in the differential and the gear. To open the nut, I'm gonna use 32mm socket with the ratchet. And also a big pipe. After it pops, it should go easy. Okay, now I'm gonna jack up the car. Forget to take out your brake sensor, and then using a flat screwdriver to press back your brake pads. This way it will be easy to put the caliper back on the brake disc. Okay. This kind of stuff, I'm gonna hang the caliper here on the spring. For these two screws from behind using a 16mm wrench. Now it's time for the brake disc. Okay, go. Easy hit it with a hammer. As you can see, I already took out my handbrake pads, and you can see here the problem why I have to change everything I've told you before I'm gonna change. Now it's time to unscrew the two bolts right here that hold the swing arm. These are one of them, and then we're gonna unscrew this one from here, here and here. This is a 13 screw with a 13 nut, and this is a 17mm screw. Next step is to unscrew the screws from the drive shaft inside the differential, because what you want to do is to push this out from the rotor. You need a E12 cricket. E12, it's like a star, and they're very long shit to open the axle from the differential. I actually decided to go from underneath the car. It's way much easier. After you remove all the screws from the drive shaft, you just have to pull it out from its place. This is the last screw. And it's down. Okay, so I use this kind of tool to press out the axle from the roller, and then I use this Allen key here and I press it back there from where the handbrake cable comes out to keep it counter. I have to admit that on this side it was awful compared with the other side. I had to buy a new tool and I basically lost 2 days only finding a solution to press this axle out from the rotor. So now using this tool, this one, you put it here with the screws from the wheel, and then you start trying to take out the wheel bearing. It's almost there. So this is the inside of the bearing, and then using the other tools we're gonna take out this one. Now what we're going to do is to cut this interior of the bearing out here and remove it from the rotor, because I didn't bought a new rotor, so I'm gonna use the old one. Clean it very good inside here because the axle went out very hard, and then make it good to put it back together. Using this clamp remover, we're gonna remove this clamp, this safety clamp. This brake disc cover, dirt cover. This is actually the reason why I did everything so far. And for this I'm gonna need a 16mm, and then for these two bolts, one here and one down here, and then a 10mm socket for this bolt and this one right here. I soaked them in brake cleaner and also in some penetrating oil, like 2 days in a row, because I got this opportunity. I recommend you to do that the same. Okay. I removed all the 4 screws holding this. Now I'm trying to remove this rust, because it's like welded in rust. Now it's off. Yoo-hoo! This motherfucker right here. Okay. Now with the tool installed, we start pressing out the bearing. Crash. Make sure you make everything nice and clean before you start putting back all the parts. Also, I cleaned very well this inside. I mean, it wasn't me, it was Didi actually. Hey Didi. Make sure you make teamwork when you work. Now, using the same kit, after you clean everything nice and tight here and then inside here where the new bearing comes inserted. And I forgot to mention that this is actually a 32mm and the one from the back is a 30mm, and it just stops in this arm here, so it's okay. Make sure you don't tighten it too fast. Take your time. Make sure everything is aligned, well aligned. Don't push the bearing. If you feel it's going too hard, or it should go easy to medium, so take your time. After you press the bearing till the very end, make sure you don't over tighten it, because you need to have it freely rolling. I put back this clamp, and now using this kit I'll press back the roller. Actually, I forgot to mention that first I need to put this back, because this is the reason why I'm doing all this. Before putting the roller back, I should put this back. Next step, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna install the handbrake pads. I've got a new kit of pads here and springs. This is the old this is the cable tensioner. No, this is the cable tensioner screw, and this is the connection with the cable from the front of the car. I'll show you how to install this. First of all, you need to take this and hang it here on the cable that comes outside of the car, like this. Hope it's gonna stay there until you come with the brake pads. Oh fuck. I put the spring upside down. Now you come with one of these screws and hold it here, and down here with the other one. And after that we're gonna put the other spring, which is this one, here and here. Now that you've got everything aligned, make sure everything gets aligned. Make sure the rotor doesn't go like that way or that way back in the bearing. You can start pushing the rotor back in. Remember, do it easy, don't rush. As well as the bearing, make sure you don't over tight it back. If you want your wheel to be moving. Hello guys. So next day came. I just went out of work and enthusiastically I'll start putting all the parts back together, and hopefully I'll finish today my car. For sure I'll finish it today. So the next step, after I clean very well down here and also here, I'm gonna push back the drive shaft inside the rotor. For that I'm gonna use this piece of wood and a good hammer, and I'll knock it from inside of the car, from the differential towards the rotor. So after you press the axle all the way back, actually you only have to press it until it comes sufficient enough out so you can put the nut on, and you tighten the nut, so this way you will pull the axle at its place. Then make sure you put back the caliper with brake sensor, using these two bolts from behind first, and then the other two with the Allen key here. Also put back the spare wheel. Before putting back the spare wheel, make sure you put back the swing bar here, and then with these two bolts, and that's kind of all. You're good to go. Put back the wheel and everything's gonna be alright.